MGM Resorts in Las Vegas is set to be one of the hottest destinations for 2025. With its luxurious accommodations, world-class entertainment, and exceptional dining options, MGM offers an unparalleled experience. The resort features iconic casinos, spectacular shows, and vibrant nightlife, attracting visitors from around the globe. Upcoming expansions and innovative attractions are expected to elevate its appeal further, making MGM Resorts a must-visit spot for travelers seeking excitement and luxury in the heart of Las Vegas. Visit AAA.com/MGM.
It's that time again to start dreaming about where we want to go in the upcoming new year. But where to go? That's the question. In our previous episode, Westways and AAA Explorer editor-in-chief Jim Benning and senior features editor Derrik Lang shared the most buzzworthy U.S. destinations for 2025. Today, we're going further afield, but not too far, to explore the hottest international destinations that should be on your travel radar. Here's what's great about our picks. They're actually doable. No far-flung locales that feel outside the realm of possibility. We're sharing realistic, reachable destinations with new reasons to delight and excite visitors in 2025 and beyond. Whether you're eager to explore a totally new place, or you want to return somewhere you've been and love to dig a little deeper, we've got something coming that will awaken your wanderlust. I love that the first destination on the list is London because it's pretty easy to get to from just about any hub, and there is always something to do. So what's new in London for 2025?
London always has something going on, but for 2025, there are some new developments happening. The one that I'm most excited about is the Shakespeare Museum, which will really bring the bards to life with fun, interactive exhibits. It's going to be really colorful and fresh and new. Also, V&A East is opening, and that will expand the art collection of Victoria and Albert beyond its pre-existing locations. The other thing that's been going on in London is the culinary scene has really been evolving. Obviously, food halls are big everywhere, but that trend really does have its roots in London. So there's lots of new food halls, and one of London's top celebrity chefs, at least that I'm sure we know about here in the US, is Gordon Ramsay. And he has this really cool development called 22 Bishop's Gate, where there's going to be multiple different kinds of Gordon Ramsay restaurants. So there's going to be like casual restaurant, a more elevated restaurant that you might compare to like his Hell's Kitchen concepts that are found in different places in the States.
My question is he going to yell at you at any of these? Because I would pay a premium to just get yelled at in some really insulting way. Wouldn't that be fun? Just like add it to the menu, a la carte.
Maybe there will be like some three-dimensional Gordon Ramsay AI that you can experience, but definitely his attitude will come through in the flavors of the dishes for sure. Culturally, there's a lot going on in London too. They're hosting the Women's Rugby World Cup. So any event like that, I think automatically brings a lot of attention to a city. They're celebrating 200 years of rail, not just in London, but across Britain. So a lot of the museums will be doing exhibits that speak to that anniversary. And then there's this thing that I heard about that I'm really excited about, a Mission Impossible tour that will take people to destinations featured in the Mission Impossible film series. So that'll be really cool for the spy aficionados out there.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to London and check out that new Shakespeare Museum. As an English lit major, I spent a lot of time reading Shakespeare. So maybe next year will be the year of the Bard.
Yeah, and for everything that I've heard about this museum, it's really going to contextualize the Bard's work in new and exciting ways. So if you're like Jim and you love Shakespeare, I think you're going to find a lot to appreciate about the museum. If you're like me and had trouble getting through a lot of those plays, then maybe you'll find a different way into Shakespeare through the exhibits, the interactive exhibits. There'll be some like live performance elements. There'll be like a lot going on. So I think it'll be unexpected in unique and exciting ways.
Let's hop a pretty long flight to our next destination, southern Thailand. There are all kinds of new expanded flight routes. So tell us about that.
United is launching new nonstop flights from San Francisco and from Newark. I think that's due to happen in February, so look out for that. I think there are expanded routes within Thailand as well on other carriers, so certainly it will be easier to get around. For this list, we really zeroed in on southern Thailand, in part because we're going to be hearing a lot about it next year thanks to the Emmy-winning HBO series White Lotus. As you know, the show revolves around travelers staying at fictional White Lotus hotels. The first 2 seasons were shot at the Four Seasons properties in Maui in Hawaii and also in Taormina in Sicily. And both locations saw a serious boost in visitors after those shows came out. So this one was shot in Bangkok, in Phuket, and at the Four Seasons on the island of Koh Samui. I think it's going to be huge for Thailand and for southern Thailand in particular. Both Phuket and Koh Samui are in the south. Phuket's the country's biggest island, and it's located on the Andaman Sea. Koh Samui is on the opposite side of the country on the Gulf of Thailand. They're both major beach destinations and really spectacular. The Four Seasons in particular, where the show was shot on Koh Samui, is gorgeous. Think coconut palms, blue-green waters, infinity pools, thatch roof villas. I spent several nights on Koh Samui many years ago. I couldn't get over how beautiful the island was. And the great thing about Koh Samui is that you can find accommodations at every price range, including down to like $30 a night. So you do not need to stay at the Four Seasons and have a Four Seasons size wallet to enjoy southern Thailand.
I really love how far your dollar stretches in Thailand. In Bangkok in particular, you can have some really ritzy experiences. So it's kind of an excuse to splurge a little bit.
And like you said, it's a good place to stretch your dollars out. You might be able to live a little fancier than you're used to, and then get street food for $3 or, get a massage every day for like $15. I really had a nice time in Thailand.
There are countries where I sometimes get tired of eating the local cuisine. Thailand is not one of them. It's just incredible.
Oodles of noodles.
Indeed. Noodles for days. Okay. Well, let's head down to South Africa. And a lot of people would think Cape Town. That's all you think of when you think of South Africa. But let's talk about Johannesburg, because that really is the hub, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the most flights from the U.S. to Africa go to Johannesburg. And I think a lot of people have just thought about it as a gateway to Africa for most North Americans. But there are storied institutions there like the Apartheid Museum and the Mandela House that really make Johannesburg worth a stop. Especially considering next year in 2025, Johannesburg is hosting the G20 summit. And we'll see new cultural projects and infrastructure projects as we move towards the G20 summit. There's going to be some new hotels there, like a Park Hyatt, the Saxon Hotel Villas and Spa. Obviously, it's more of a city and very different than a lot of the experiences that you can have in South Africa. Visas are particularly easy. You can get one for 90 days if you're coming from the US. So yeah, it's a very accessible place to get to if you're going to Africa.
And now the AAA Travel Minute, presented by MGM Rewards. Earn on what you love. Hurricanes, wildfires, pandemics. Unpredictable events like these can make planning travel challenging. Fortunately, travel insurance can reimburse lost prepaid expenses so that you can cancel your trip or reschedule it for a different time or even a different destination. For trips impacted by natural disasters, many travel insurance plans allow travelers to cancel or interrupt their trip if their destination is heavily affected. In addition to unexpected trip cancellations, travel insurance also provides coverage for other things that can happen, such as travel delays or medical emergencies. This is particularly important because often US-based healthcare coverage is not accepted internationally. Be sure to explore travel insurance options with your travel advisor. Protecting your trip with travel insurance will give you peace of mind, both before and during your trip, so you can enjoy it to the fullest. This AAA Travel Minute was presented by MGM Rewards. Earn on what you love. The Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. It's very easy to get to, and sometimes we overlook it. So what's hot about the Yucatan?
Great beach destinations, great beach resorts on the Caribbean. places like Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen. Also, of course, the incredible archaeological sites like Chichen Itza. The reason it's on our hot list for 2025 is largely because of the new Maya train. It's a major development in the region. It was an initiative of Mexico's former president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. The initial segments began opening in December of 2023. I think they're finishing the last segments in the coming probably couple of months. We're talking about a nearly 1,000-mile long rail line. It connects 5 Mexican states around the Yucatan, 34 stops in all, including stations near Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Cancun, and Mérida. There were concerns about the construction's impact on the environment and on archaeological sites. There was just a lot of Mayan history there, and I think they're still uncovering a lot. However, I do think that this train project is going to do some good for locals and for travelers. It can certainly open up more of the Yucatan to travelers who may not have been so inclined to want to venture away from the beach resorts before. One of the things that I think is particularly exciting is that the train links all those beach resorts with the colonial city of Mérida. Its historic center has a beautiful stone cathedral and colonial homes, and it feels really a world away from Cancun. Travelers, as you know, are looking for a real sense of authenticity these days. And while Cancun is lovely, the history of it goes back maybe 50 years. Mérida dates back centuries. It's got a lot of indigenous history there, and of course, a lot of Spanish history as well. And so I think if travelers are looking for authenticity, they will find that in spades there. Beyond the new Maya train, there's just a lot of other stuff happening in the area. The SLS's first ever all-inclusive resort, called the SLS Playa Mujeres, is opening just north of Cancun. 498 guest rooms and suites, and no fewer than 18 restaurants. I have to say, I once sort of looked down my nose at all-inclusives, but I recently stayed at the Grand Velas Riviera Maya as a AAA 5-diamond all-inclusive in Playa del Carmen. Not only were the grounds beautiful and the rooms fantastic, but the quality of the food is what really surprised me. I would say from the poolside cabanas to the top restaurants, I was just never disappointed by anything I ate there. I'm a big sort of a Mexican food snob. I love like great Mexican food, and they did a great job with that there.
SLS Playa Mujeres, it's across from Isla Mujeres, which is one of the most adorable little places in the Yucatan Peninsula. You can take a ferry to get over there. There's like a really awesome cemetery there that's mostly above ground, and lots of local hawkers vending stuff that they've actually made there. Great restaurants, beautiful beaches, of course. And it's also close if you want to go to Chichen Itza, like Jim was saying, which if you're going to go to the Yucatan Peninsula, you've got to check it out. It is one of the wonders of the world for sure.
I think a lot of Americans take Mexico for granted. It's very familiar to us. It's right in our backyard. And I think a lot of people think when they're looking for either cultural thrills or something else, they think that they need to get on a plane and go much farther away. I mean, one thing that I think is so surprising about Mexico is just how incredibly diverse it is. There's so many languages spoken there. The regional cuisines vary quite a bit. You could spend months traveling in Mexico and just be constantly surprised. You know, security is always a concern when you're talking about Mexico. But here, too, I think the Yucatan shines. The U.S. State Department just updated its travel warnings for Mexico in September. The good news is that the Yucatan, as far as the State Department is concerned, is pretty safe. The state of Yucatan itself, as well as the state of Campeche, are categorized at level 1, which is exercise normal caution. And Quintana Roo, which is the home of Cancun, Tulum, and Playa del Carmen, is at level 2, which is exercise increased caution. And so I certainly would not hesitate to visit the Yucatan these days.
We actually just did an episode not too long ago about travel advisories and what they mean. So for anybody that's listening that wants to think about visiting Mexico next year, take a listen to that episode as well. And it really kind of outlines what each level means and just how important it is to do that research before you head out to a new place. So for our very last destination on the international list, it's a little bit international. It's a little bit not international, depending on which sections you choose. So tell us what is new and exciting about the U.S. and British Virgin Islands next year.
Yes, as you so astutely pointed out, the Virgin Islands are sort of split up into the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands. What I personally love about the Virgin Islands is it's sort of what we were just talking about with Mexico. It's very much a choose your own adventure sort of destination. You can go to a beach resort, hang out for 7 days and never leave and have a great time. Or you can also go island hopping. You can go on extreme hikes or go through rainforests. There's a lot to do there. So if you're not familiar, the Virgin Islands, there's the US side, which doesn't require a passport. So it's very easy to get into for those coming from North America. And then there's the British Virgin Islands, which you would need a passport to go to. The US Virgin Islands, I think, is much more accessible, more sort of resorty, great snorkeling, whereas the British Virgin Islands are kind of a little more rustic, more adventurous. They both have lots of different kinds of resorts, properties to stay at. For 2025, I think what's exciting is more expanded air routes. So in the British Virgin Islands, Tortola, traditionally, it's been harder to get to. And now like American Airlines is flying there regularly. So it's easier to get to. And Tortola in the British Virgin Islands is kind of the hub island. There's a new resort on Tortola called Long Bay Beach Resort. And it kind of gives you the private island experience without the private island prices. Each room is individual. Many of them have their own like little tubs. They all overlook the beach. So that's really nice. But if you want to stay on a private island, that's possible in the Virgin Islands. There's Guana Island, which is a really beautiful private island resort. And then coming up, after a 6-year closure, since it was devastated by Hurricane Irma in 2017, the 1,800-acre Peter Island Resort is open, and it's been totally reimagined. And again, it gives you that private island vibe.
Who doesn't love a private island vibe? I mean, sign me up.
I'm obsessed with the Caribbean. I have not found an island yet that I do not adore and always want to go back to. We actually have this on our list for 2025. My husband and I will be celebrating 10 years of marriage, and we're talking about renting either a sailboat or going on with a bunch of friends, some kind of yacht, and doing the whole Virgin Islands cruise thing. And wouldn't that be fun? It'd just, oh my gosh.
You can go in with your friends, rent a catamaran. You can get your boating license and pilot it yourself, or you can rent a captain and you can cruise around to all of those islands and just live the island life.
Jim Benning and Derrik Lang, thank you for joining us. And thank you, our listeners, for being with us. If you're planning a trip, be sure to connect with a AAA travel advisor. Check out AAA.com/travel or visit your local branch. This podcast is a production of Auto Club Enterprises. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. I'm Angie Orth. Thank you for traveling with AAA.